Welcome back to this midweek edition of Winning the Division, episode number 89. Ryan Smith here, along with former NFL tight end Ben Troupe. The 2025 season has come and gone. Ben, the Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara on NBC is a wrap. We're going to start with that, obviously, tonight. The Seattle Seahawks 29-13 over the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 60. Kenneth Walker named MVP of the game. Ben, this game can be described in a lot of different ways. It was 12-0 Seahawks after the third quarter, and then you had 17 points scored in the fourth quarter by the Seahawks, 13 by the New England Patriots. And so this game was not much of a contest, unfortunately, for the viewers at home and for the consumers like us who want to talk about it. Some garbage time touchdowns by the Patriots. The Seattle Seahawks were just all over Drake May, and it sounds like that shoulder injury was a little more serious than the team led on. So I don't know if Drake was 100% healthy in that game. But regardless, the Seahawks win their second Super Bowl championship. John Schneider, the general manager, doing it now with two different head coaches, two different quarterbacks. First one was Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson. This one is Mr. Mike McDonald, and that is Sammy Slingin' Darnold, former quarterback of the Jets, the Panthers, the Vikings, the 49ers, getting it done with the Seattle Seahawks. So, Ben, that is my instant reaction. But let's get into the Super Bowl a little bit more, break it down, what you saw, what you liked, what you didn't like, and we'll go from there.
The great Ray Lewis, when I played against him, he would always say the same thing. He gonna say, "This is a man's game." He would say, "This is a man's game." He gonna say, "We're gonna play some football today." And what he's saying in that statement, Smitty, is this: you notice in the playoffs, as well as the Super Bowl, ain't a lot of trick plays. You notice that? Like you're not all that fluff goes out the window. You know why? Because there is no next week. If you mess this up, we're out. Well, the Seattle Seahawks said, okay, who do you think a better quarterback is? Drake May or Patrick Mahomes? Like Patrick Mahomes. And look at what the Eagles D-line did to him in the Super Bowl. Had him throwing back across his body. Cooper DeJean gets the big pick six for a touchdown. So, Smitty, you know what the most important report is every week? It's the injury report. That's the most important report because those teams are going, who and what? Who's hurt? Yeah. What's hurt on him? And when they said his shoulder, whose shoulder? That's why you notice that's the thing that these teams, they try to put it out right. Like, look, we got 5 more minutes to send it in, or we gonna get 5. All right, tell them. Because if a person is injured, the only word that lets you know a player is not going to play is the word questionable. That means he's probably not going to play. Drake May was probably questionable, but they can't say that. And I'm not going to say that do I believe his shoulder was hurt more than what it is? Yeah. But, Smitty, Drake May hasn't looked like himself the whole playoffs. The whole playoffs. And
he was backed the most out of any quarterback in the NFL playoffs. He was lucky enough to get a Chargers team with no offensive lineman to protect Justin Herbert, C.J. Stroud fumbling all over himself in the divisional round. And then in the snow, you got Jared Stidham instead of Bo Nix. And then in the Super Bowl, they faced a team that could take advantage of them. Sam and Dart, Sling and Sammy did just enough. He didn't have the greatest game either. We'll get to him. But let's continue with the Patriots, like you mentioned. The other thing I think the Seattle Seahawks talked about was Will Campbell, left tackle for the Patriots, had an increasingly bad year down the stretch. And he's a rookie, rookie left tackle. It's going to happen. But the whole thing of him coming out of LSU, the short arms, some people think he'll get kicked into guard maybe next year or two. But the Seattle Seahawks said whenever it was going to be a passing play, Will Campbell started shaking a little bit, and he kind of with the stance that he was in, they could tell every time it was going to be a passing down, and that was problematic for that Seattle or for that New England offensive line, that was very good, rather, for the Seattle defense. And so, yeah, I mean, the Patriots, excuse me, they need another draft. They need to solidify this offensive line. They need more weapons besides Stephon Diggs on the outside. And I'm sorry, Matt Collins, but you're not a number 2 receiver. And this defense has got a couple pass rushers, but some of the guys are free agents, like Kadavian Chason, who had a really good year, but he's not a guarantee to come back. And so this team, Ben, if I had to, I mean, it might sound obvious, but I don't think either team is going to get to the Super Bowl next year. That's my bold prediction now. But New England is definitely less likely than Seattle because they play in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes will be back. Joe Burrow will be back. Jamar Jackson will be back. And that's just the 3 that Josh Allen will have another opportunity. So this team overachieved this year with Mike Vrabel, and props to them. They did a good job. They got to the Super Bowl when nobody else was able to do that. And so props to them there. But this team is going to have to look itself in the mirror. They're not dummies. They're going to get their deficiencies right. But they play a first place schedule now. And it's going to be a tough 2026 for them when it comes not just in the schedule, but really getting back to the playoffs with this division. You got the Bills, who are obviously a worthwhile opponent. Miami is starting over, yes, a little bit, but they've got some pieces there. And then the AFC, like I said, as a whole is very tough with those quarterbacks. So we'll see about New England going forward. Christian Gonzalez, I think, was the one bright spot for New England. He had tons of pass breakups. It would have been a lot worse had it. I think if he was not on the field for New England, this game would have been worse. I think Gonzo, as they call him up there in New England, out of Oregon, corner out of Oregon, he was definitely the Patriots MVP of their game. If you have to award an MVP to the losing team, because he was everywhere.
So when I look at this game, I give Mike Vrabel a lot of credit for this reason. It's hard to recreate a dynasty that was that of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and those guys. And he was a part of that. Mike Vrabel was a part of that defense that had Rodney Harrison and Richard Seymour and Ty Law. Teddy Bruce, and the list goes on. Vince Wilfork, Willie McGinnis. It's just too many names.
Yeah.
But what Mike Vrabel proved is with the right team and the right scheme, you already had a schedule. Drake May is 23 years old. He's in year 2. All the Seattle Seahawks defensive line specifically said, we're going to make him look like a second-year quarterback. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm supposed to make the young guy look like a young guy. Sam Darnold is experienced, and he played like an experienced guy. And sometimes, Smitty, that's all it takes. Sam Darnold killed a huge myth with winning the Super Bowl. That is, don't throw a person away that fast. We want to use the bus tag so fast. When's the last time the Jets had a successful quarterback? What, Brett Favre? Mark Sanchez? Chad Pennington? Vince Verdi? Who? Joe Namath? It's too few and far between. But I give Sam Darnold a lot of credit for just staying the course. His time in the Jets was awful. Did he talk about, wasn't he, if I'm not mistaken, Smitty, you can correct me or not, him and Baker Mayfield was on the same Panthers team. That's the number 1 and number 3 pick of 2018. Then you move on down, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he came before or after those two guys. Then you talk about San Francisco. Then you talk about Minnesota. They started gets hurt. He fills in. In the history of the National Football League, only one quarterback has won 13 games with 2 different teams, and that is they won Sam Darnold. He's the only one to win 13 games with 2 different teams. I'm just saying this game came down to who can be themselves more. And the Seattle Seahawks, we're going to be ourselves. And what Michael Irvin said is true. Michael Irvin said, I was successful as a receiver because he says, I'm going to use your weakness to beat you, and I'm going to use your strength to break you. Well, what is the weakness of the New England Patriots? The offensive line. That's their weakness. They're weak. They're weak on the offensive line. They started 2 rookies, right? Where are they strong at? Defense. That's their strength. right? Well, the thing about Sam Darnold coming, they just kept coming at him, because a defense is good, right? A defense is good when they're keeping pressure on the opposing offense. They're great when they're playing with a lead. Which team played with a lead? Oh, that was Seattle. Who looked great? That would be Seattle's defense. So I'm not surprised at what happened, Smitty. I just thought that Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, that's who's not being talked about enough. This game plan for the Patriots was about as vanilla get. They tried to spread them out when it's 7 minutes left in the game. Mac Hollins caught a nice touchdown pass. It was vanilla. It was bad.
I was searching for more screen passes, honestly. Where were the screen passes?
It was. They didn't try to slow down the pass rush. They didn't. Listen, Hunter Henry and company.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Tight end.
They should have just stayed. They should have just stayed in and chipped. Will Campbell, to his defense, he is a rookie, and people kept saying, "Why do people make so much about arm length?" I said, "Arm length at tackle, arm length at defensive end, outside linebacker matters." You don't believe me? Because they're trying to long arm you. The most disrespectful play of the entire Super Bowl is when I think New England called I think they called timeout, or somebody jumped off sides, and the right defensive end just comes off and just hits Will Campbell just for fun and knocks him over, just to let him know, look, you are the blind side of Drake May. Once Drake May started getting hit, it felt like it was eight linemen. Witherspoon coming off the slot, they terrorized this young man. And for anybody, if any and everybody got something, I don't think it's an indictment on Drake May. I think it's an indictment on play calling. It's something, man, you talk about all year with Coach Ellis and Bryce Young. Be aggressive, be creative. And Drake May he's a dual threat quarterback. He can utilize his legs. They didn't do anything. Kept him in the pocket. Guys getting pushed back into the pocket, he ain't got nowhere to throw, nowhere to run. And I think this came down to just football fundamentals. Right? Fundamentals is nothing cheap, nothing deep. We're gonna stay in our lanes. We're gonna stay in our rush lanes. We're gonna force him to beat us with his arm, because Stephon Diggs. People talk about Stephon Diggs like he with Buffalo. No. No, this is 2 years removed. This is Stephon Diggs go to Houston, he gets hurt. Stephon Diggs comes here to be a veteran leader. He can get open. But Stephon Diggs had his best game against the Buffalo Bills. And that's the first time, not the second time. So I wasn't surprised. But Mike Macdonald has put the entire league on notice, because everybody wanted to make it about Mike Vrabel. Everybody wanted to make it about Sean McVay. Everybody wanted to make it about every head coach not named Mike Macdonald. And people talk about culture. In 2 years, he's already got that culture going back to what it was when Pete Carroll and company was gone. And shout out to Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is the first running back to win Super Bowl MVP since Terrell Davis. It's Terrell Davis. So it's been a long time, but I'm not surprised. Well, let me say this, Smitty. I'm surprised at I'm not surprised at the outcome. I'm surprised at how it looked. Because everybody was thinking, oh yeah, they got shut out in the first half. They're gonna cut. That's the same team running out. That is the same guys run in are the same guys that run out. And guess who else making halftime adjustments? That would be the Seattle Seahawks. So Christian Gonzalez was the best player on the field. Kenneth Walker was the best player in the Super Bowl that day. If you are New England, all that money you spend on defense, it almost paid off. It almost. You're gonna have to get if your quarterback is a second-year guy and your best running back is a rookie and your left tackle is a rookie. I want to say your right guard was a rookie. You're going to have to sprinkle in some veterans who have experience, who got that dog in them, and who understand, dude, we can't look like this on the biggest stage. Why? Because no matter what you think defensive coordinators are gonna do, what they're gonna be rushing up. It's gonna be looking like punt coverage on that left side of that offensive line. They're gonna come at Will Campbell until he shows something different. I don't think that one game is an indictment, but Smitty, he got short arms, and if they get underneath him, and I know he's gonna adjust, and it's one game. I mean, he got to go to the Super Bowl as a rookie, which most guys don't go to the playoffs. It's just they got beat at they beat him up. What the Seattle Seahawks defensive line did to the O-line of New England say, we're going to beat y'all up. And not to just pick on Will Campbell. No. It was coming from the interior. It was coming from the right side too. I know Will Campbell stands out, but that whole D line was feasting. They was eating. Leonard Williams and those guys, they were eating. So I'm very, 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 very impressed. Ernest Jones, Waycross boy, Ware County Gator from around my neck of the woods when I was on ESPN radio. His father died before the season, and he was talking to his father about dedicating the season to him.
There's a multitude of those guys that happened to on the Seahawks, sadly, that John Schneider said during the parade today that I think gave them a little bit of an advantage. Those guys were watching over them, and I don't want to leave any guys out. It was Ernest Jones, his dad, I believe, backup quarterback Drew Lock, his dad.
Kenneth Walker dad came to the game. He don't like crowds. It was what was a defensive end that was there for 23 hours? Some defensive end. I think he's from. I got to check. I think he's the right defensive end. They said that when he was born, when he was first born, he wasn't breathing for like 20. It was something crazy. And this Seattle Seahawks team has a lot of great stories. Kenneth Walker, Sam Darnold, JSN. You're talking about, you're talking about
Devon Witherspoon at Illinois was a shutdown corner at Illinois in college, and he was very physical corner coming to the NFL. I remember when he came to the NFL out of Illinois, and I said that boy's going to be good. Byron Murphy, a really good draft pick last year out of Texas. DeMarcus Lawrence. Derek Hall, I think it might be who you're thinking of. I think maybe, but anyway, Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams and Sam Darnold, former Jets, getting it done in the Pacific Northwest together. Ben, I do want to shout out Sam Darnold because, listen, it's easy for me and you and everybody else to say, yeah, but Ryan, Sam Darnold didn't win the Super Bowl because the defense, the running game.
Of course, yes.
We are going to acknowledge that. Yes, that is correct. Hold on. Good.
You were right though. It was. I just want to say this real quick about Derek Hall. Derek Hall, born nearly 4 months premature at just 23 weeks and weighing roughly 1 pound. Seattle Seahawks linebacker Derek Hall was given a 1% chance of survival and he was born without a heartbeat. Defying doctors who advised against life support, his mother fought for his life. He spent 5 months in the NICU, overcoming extreme odds to become. Listen. Mike McDonald went to the University of Georgia. I'm trying to get these dogs. Maria Taylor, she was interviewing him at the game. She went to.
He also went to the University of Georgia. They went to the same high school.
Went to the same. I will say this: you talking about full circle. Mike McDonald said, "God told me to come here. God sent me here, and I trust him." And the one thing I will appreciate about sports, specifically NFL, people are a lot more open with their faith. They're understanding that, look, man, it's not me that's doing this. It's not, yes, we get the victory, and yes, we get the admiration, but the glory belongs to him. So I'm Smitty, I will say this. Everybody talking about that AFC and how competitive it is. And it is, top to bottom, because you left out one quarterback. You talk about Josh Allen, you talked about, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Bo Nix got hurt. If Bo Nix does not get hurt, the Denver Broncos might be Super Bowl champions with that defense and the way he's been playing. So I just think that Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, different guys, but I think the Seattle Seahawks team, they're more battle tested because they got to deal with the Rams and the 49ers in division. Forget who I got outside. That's why this show is called Winning the Division. That's why when you win your division and you got the top spot in the NFC, because first you win your division consistently, then I'm going for the top spot in my conference, because now everything comes. Who was the top 10 in the NFC this year? That would be the Seahawks. Everything came through Seattle. So that kind of stuff is very, very significant. Mike McDonald is understanding how important culture is, how important having the right guys around him, and Ernest Jones is a huge supporter of Sam Darnold. I mean, he went on record as saying anybody that got something to say about Sam Darnold, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're looking at, and they got him for a bargain. So be looking for Adam Schefter to be like breaking news. They just backed up the truck for Sam Darnold because forget the fact that he's a Super Bowl champ. 13 wins back to back. Ask Jordan Addison. Ask Noah Fant. Not Noah Fant. Noah Fant, I think I don't think he played for Minnesota. But ask Justin Jefferson. Ask Jordan Addison. Those guys. T.J. Hockenson. Would they want to have Sam Darnold right now in Minnesota? The answer would be yes, emphatically yes. But I was impressed, Smitty, and I will say this: was the Super Bowl boring? Yep, because that's how dominant the defense was. And Drake May, at a certain point, I know that Sam Darnold has gone on record as saying he was seeing ghosts when he was in New York. I do not know what Drake May was seeing, but he saw a lot of blue, and he saw a lot of big blue people chasing him with green outlines, with great numbers, with green outlines on their chest. And I appreciate, you know how I knew that the Seahawks were going to win. You notice that the New England Patriots didn't wear what they wore the previous Super Bowl. They didn't wear what they wore in 2014. I knew that Seattle was like, we're wearing what we wore. Man, we ain't running from nobody. Great game by Seattle. Hopefully New England has staying power. And hopefully both teams understand that they look really, really good. Yeah. And it just didn't go their way.
Yeah. I was gonna say shout out Sammy D though, Sam Darnold, because listen, we're just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. He got drafted by the Jets. Not a great situation. Gets picked up to Carolina, traded to Carolina. Hate to say it for my Panthers, but at the time, under Matt Rule, not a good situation. Goes to San Francisco.
Yep.
Sits behind Brock Purdy. Learns how to watch somebody else at the quarterback position and do it well. Then leads back-to-back seasons of 14 wins for the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks, respectively. And he goes and wins the Super Bowl. And now that's not saying that the Vikings, 49ers, Panthers, and Jets should all feeling bad about themselves. I'm talking about Sam Darnold specifically here. He went on a journey and he found himself, and Seattle took a chance on him. He took less money to go to Seattle when he had other offers that offered more money, but he took a chance on Seattle just as much as Seattle was taking a chance on him, and it proved to be the right fit with that team, with the weapons around him. And he delivered in the biggest moments when he had to during this season, and he's now a Super Bowl champion. No one is going to be able to take that away from him at the end of the day. And so I just wanted to say that, knowing that Sam Darnold, who had a big arm, played at USC, was a big-bodied quarterback coming out of college, and people said he had the physical tools, he had the physical traits, and he could make all the throws. He just needed to be put in a position to do it.
Sam Darnold is why you give a quarterback time, you give a quarterback patience, you give a quarterback a team. Hold on. We act like every time a quarterback plays well, the team around him doesn't help him do it. I remember that Rose Bowl with Sam Darnold, Saquon Barkley. It's not that they introduced themselves to me. They introduced themselves to the world. That was a beautiful Rose Bowl. It was a back and forth. And yes. I didn't, we was watching the number 2 and number 3 overall pick in that 2018 draft. Then he gets drafted by the Jets. Here's the thought. Did Saquon Barkley end up with it? Saquon Barkley, is he with the team that drafted? Oh, he went to Philly, went for 2,000 yards, went to the Super Bowl and won. Sam Darnold, right, goes to Seattle. What do they both have in common? They both went to teams that had already built in coach. They had coaches already built. A quarterback should not have to build a culture. He's the one you build the culture around. Quarterbacks don't build cultures. Teams do. And for Sam Darnold, he said, dude, I'm battle tested. Do you know what I had to deal with in that New York media every day? You know what I had to be, dealing with the New York Daily and the New York Times. And I had to deal with a lot of criticism. And through that, he goes to Carolina. He goes to San Francisco. And he's learning everywhere he's going. That way, by the time he gets to Minnesota, he's saying, look, I'm ready. I see the team we have. Now, no one is saying he wanted J.J. McCarthy to get hurt. He's saying, I'm ready if he does. And they go on to have a 13-win season. In the offseason, you knew J.J. was coming back, so he got to go out there to Seattle. And Sam Darnold is a slow and steady quarterback. He can make every throw. He's going to try to stay ahead of the chains. He's not going to put you in bad situations. But he's resilient. He learned resiliency with the Jets. He learned how to be a teammate when he went to the Panthers, when he went to Carolina. And he learned how to be a starter again when he went to Minnesota, and he was ready. And Smitty, that's why I be trying to tell you when it comes to guys like Bryce Young. Bryce Young went to the number one. He was the number one overall pick, which means that team has a lot of problems. The number 2 overall pick gonna go to a team with a lot of problems. The number 3 gonna go to a team with a lot of problems. But in 3 years, he made the playoffs. C.J. Stroud right now only knows making the playoffs. But do you think right now, have you heard anything about them picking up his 5th-year option? Not yet. Unless they've already done it that I didn't see it. And I'm not trying to get on C.J. Stroud. I mean, I'm not going to blame one game on the totality of his time in the league. But Sam Darnold is what quarterbacking should be. I give people a stat. The great Peyton Manning went to the playoffs his rookie year, I think. He didn't win a playoff game until his 6th year. He did not win a playoff game. And I think now, Smitty, for these quarterbacks, they're kind of like in an unfair situation because if they get drafted in the top 10, they're gonna find a way to take the backup and trade him and bring in another guy who not going to be the starter and who's going to be starter week 1. Bryce Young, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Josh Allen, which means you ain't giving me a chance to develop. It takes time to develop. And Sam, no one is saying Sam Darnold is going to be a Hall of Famer. We're not saying that. We're saying that we should not be surprised in what he did in year 1 with Seattle because that's a continuation of what he started in Minnesota. This is a guy that kept trending upward. And he's gotten better when he's gotten the team, the scheme, and the culture. You got to have a team, you got to have a scheme, you got to have the culture, and you got to have a head coach that lets you go out there, and be you. So I'm not surprised. I'm happy for Sam Darnold. Him and Kenneth Walker right now, probably still in Disneyland, getting on all the rides, doing all these different things. But the NFC should be put on notice that the Seattle Seahawks are building bullies and a monster. They monsters of the Pacific Northwest. And the reason why I know they have staying power, Smitty, is because JSN is 23. He's 23 years old. He's the first team All-Pro. Leonard Williams and Ernest Jones. Now, Leonard Williams is a little older. Ernest Jones, when I say a little older, we talking about 27, 28, not 35, 30.
Ron Witherspoon, very young. JSN, very young.
They're gonna keep JSN. They're gonna.
Now,
shout out to a guy that nobody's really talking about too. Shout out to Cooper Kupp. That's his 2nd Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. He's been to 3. He was hurt in the first one when Jared Goff and company and the Rams went up against the most boring Super Bowl you ever seen when the Rams played New England at that 13-3. God, that Super Bowl was hard to watch. But then he comes back to the Super Bowl the second time with Matthew Stafford. It's Super Bowl MVP. I think he was a Triple Crown winner that year too. Catches yards and touchdowns. They said when the Rams decided to move on from it, they wanted him to retire. He was like, no, I'm going to go to Seattle. I'm going to beat y'all in the NFC Championship game. And the rest is history. So congratulations, to the Patriots as well. They had a really, really good season. Clavon Chason, Smitty. I know the first time around in Carolina. Oh, no, he wasn't in Carolina. Was he? Was Clavon Chason in Carolina?
He was. We were the team that cut him, and then he went to the New England. So, yes, you're welcome. Maybe we can get a reunion this offseason. We'll see. Before we get into the headlines and everything, I wanted to briefly also go over the NFL Honors and Hall of Fame as well before we get into the headlines. So I know people are dying to know this. Shout out to our friend over at Sports Spectrum, Jason Romano. He will be coming back on with us here pretty soon. I talked with him the other day. He's going to come back on, discuss Hall of Fame once again, and recap the season. So look out for that episode here coming soon. Our friend Jason Romano over at Sports Spectrum. Little tease there, as they say, Ben. Let's get into, though, the NFL Honors Recap and Hall of Fame. I'm just going to give you the awards as they were. And for if you were to give anybody different than what was awarded, let me know. And I'll do mine as well. I'm not gonna do all of them. This is the main ones. The Jim Brown Award went to James Cook, Bills running back. The Assistant Coach of the Year was Josh McDaniels from the New England Patriots. The Deacon Jones Sack Award went to Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns. Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award, Budda Baker from the Arizona Cardinals, safety. Salute to Service Award, Christian McCaffrey, 49ers running back. Protector of the Year, the new award, first year. Thank you to Deion Dawkins for the Buffalo Bills for kind of spearheading that. Joe Tooney of the Chicago Bears was awarded that award. FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Year, Drake May for the Patriots with the quarterback. Running back was Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers. And then the wide receiver was Jackson Smith-Njigba for the Seattle Seahawks. All right, so now the big awards now, not necessarily in order. The Walton Patriot Man of the Year award was Bobby Wagner of the Washington Commanders. I thought that you could award it to any of these guys for the community services that they do.
Absolutely.
Bobby Wagner, very fair and a deserving winner. We'll see if he ends up playing another year or not, but will go down as one of the best linebackers to ever play. Will probably be in the Hall of Fame.
I think he's one of only 2 or 3 linebackers to have over 2,000 career tackles. I think it's him and like London Fletcher or something crazy.
Yeah. The next gen stats moment of the year was Caleb Williams' game-winning Hail Mary pass to DJ Moore against the Packers there on in that wild game back in the earlier part of the season. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Carson Schweshinger of the Cleveland Browns. Offensive Rookie of the Year, my Carolina Panthers wide receiver, Teddy McMillan. The Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, Cleveland Browns. The Offensive Player of the Year, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Seattle Seahawks, receiver. Comeback Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey, 49ers running back. Coach of the Year, Mike Vrabel, New England Patriots. Personally, I would have given this to Mike McDonald of the Seattle Seahawks or Ben Johnson of the Bears. But I also understand why Mike Vrabel, I understand. I can see why they gave it to him, and I have no problem with him winning this award. That would just be my other 2 guys that I would have put in consideration for that. And then obviously MVP was Matthew Stafford, which everybody says of the LA Rams, which everyone says is a regular season award. But Ben, we all know, this Super Bowl justified why Matthew Stafford was the MVP over Drake May, even though, these are regular season awards, technically, but anyway, was there any of those awards that you would have given to a different player or coach before I get into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, certain things I would give it. Coach of the Year, I would have given it to Liam Cohen for Jacksonville. No one, when you think about the fact that a new head coach that comes in and did what he did, Jacksonville did not. They superseded expectation with a new head coach. I think he was able to really, really get like Mike McDonald. But I've seen Mike McDonald do this 2 years in a row. Like, I'm not surprised. Mike McDonald had a really, really good team in 2024. But I like Liam Cohen and what he's building. And a number 2 to add to that, D'Amico Ryans. Like, people looking at that defense, right? Well, C.J. Stroud was hurt a lot of the year, and they kept that thing going. But I like those 2 guys. I know I'm gonna say something that people ain't gonna like. Just call it a quarterback award if it's gonna be a quarterback award for MVP. The MVP of the league is Myles Garrett. Here's why. Myles Garrett just broke the sack record. You know how hard it is to be that dominant of a player on a team that bad? The Cleveland Browns are irrelevant. And he still went out there and did it. Everybody said, remember this, Smitty? He's going to get his money and run. Didn't he just sign the big contract in all season? And the very same year, he breaks the sack record. There's only one guy I think that had, over 13 and a half sacks for 3 or 4 years in a row. That's Myles Garrett. He is about as consistent as a player is going to be. The best player means that, look, man, you take me off that team. Yeah, we're still going to lose. But look at how dominant he was. I want to talk about something too that everybody was making a big thing about that I don't agree with. A lot of people had a lot to say about the offensive player of the year, saying it should have went to Puka Nacua, not JSN. No, it should have went to JSN. JSN put up some numbers this year. And Puka is incredible. Your three first-team All-Pros was Puka, JSN, and Jamar Chase. That's your three first-team All-Pro. But I'm very, very impressed with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is something that you be telling me, Smitty, the volume that he has to put out week in and week out. His
243 touches this season. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
He's not going to be able to play 3 or 4 more years, not because he's not good enough, because his body's not going to be able to hold up.
He'll be turning 30 this offseason.
Yes, and I don't know if he has a child yet, but that definitely switches things up.
He and Olivia, his wife, do have a baby girl. They
okay, so that's giving him something to definitely play for. But all in all, I think they got it right. I mean, to me, the player of the year. I know you might not like this, Smitty. I think the player of the year is the Panthers versus the Rams when the tight end catches the pass. That catch and throw. They ain't making enough about it. Like, I'm still trying to see how he got his feet in. Like, did he get his freaking feet in? And he did. But the players on us, I mean, I think they pretty much got it right. It wasn't a lot of Bobby Wagner, congratulations to him. Sitting there talking about his father and how much his father meant to him, talking about his mother from Los Angeles. So he does things in Los Angeles, went to Utah State. Does things there, also still does things in the Seattle community as well as the DC community. I mean, incredible dude, means a lot to a lot of people and understands. Say, I got you. He's like, I got you. But the NFL honors did a really, really good job. I think that the NFL is showing why it's the greatest league in America, because the NFL honors has really, really grown on people from the comedic side of it, to just being in the house, seeing a lot of these different players coming together. The Walter Payton Man of the Year award. I mean, Jared and his sister, y'all dad's legacy still living on. And I mean, Matthew Stafford is the MVP. I just think that if it would have went to Myles Garrett, I wouldn't have been mad. But Matthew Stafford winning the award, I think he's sitting there with his daughters and announcing that he's coming back. That's about as smooth. That was nice. Because Sean McVay was like, well, dude, you got one more in you. To win MVP at the ripe age of 37, hey, I couldn't be mad at it. But yeah, NFL honors did a really, really good job, from the interviews to the players to the attendees to the winners. And if you're in these categories and you don't win, it doesn't mean that you weren't a failure. You losing to elite talent. That doesn't mean you're not elite talent. But congratulations to all the winners. Congratulations to all the nominees. And I thought it did a really, really good job. But I really, really enjoyed it. I think the festivities were really, really good. Some of that stuff was, the comedy side is like, it's like a natural thing at an award show. You can't be all serious, buttoned up. We're going to laugh and have fun with each other. But, hey, man, what is it about these older quarterbacks? I mean, Tom Brady got an MVP later on in his career. Matthew Stafford got an MVP later on in his career.
Aaron Rodgers.
So
2 of them.
Matthew Stafford, it was almost like not that he needed it, but that was like that solidifies his Hall of Fame induction. And I know you're gonna get to the Hall of Fame inductees.
Before we get into the headlines, last couple things here. I wanted to go over the Hall of Fame, and then play a little game with Ben that I did not prepare him for beforehand, so he will enjoy that here in just a second. But a brief shout out to the Hall of Fame class of 2026. We've already rehashed the amount of people who did not get in and who those were. So let's just focus on the 5 gentlemen who got in. Nobody with snubs or cuts. Drew Brees, New Orleans Saints, San Diego Chargers quarterback. Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald. Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly. Colts and Patriots kicker Adam Vinatieri. And San Francisco 49ers running back Roger Craig. Ben, I thought this was a really good Hall of Fame class, and I'm not saying that because of Luke Kuechly. I'm saying that because you look at it, I was obviously too young to see a lot of the Roger Craig, but I saw highlights. Guy was very good. He had to wait a long time, but, he is in. Adam Vinatieri was just nails against pretty much every team in the playoffs in that dynasty run for New England, and then even got one with the Colts too. And I know he was a kicker, so that could be debated, but he was one of the most clutch kickers of all time. Luke Kuechly only played 8 years, yes, but he dominated in those 8 years. Christian McCaffrey had a good interview at the Super Bowl where he essentially said, I want to say it was with Bussin' with the Boys. He essentially said Luke Kuechly was just different. He was all over the field every play. He would eventually stop and make sure we got practice in, and I would finish my run, and I could eventually tell that the way Kuechly maybe tackled me or tried to touch me, I could tell, oh, he would have made that play. Or, okay, I think I got him on that one. Christian was giving a little bit more detail on kind of how special Kuechly was in just his 8 years in the league. And he says he's probably the best player he ever played with. Larry Fitzgerald, one team, like Luke Kuechly, playing for the Arizona Cardinals, just for one team. An absolute stud at the wide receiver position, one of the best ever, and got the Arizona Cardinals to a Super Bowl and freaking fell short. Obviously, we all know why that happened. James Harrison, Pittsburgh Steelers. And then Drew Brees went to drafted by the Chargers, blows out his shoulder, doesn't think he's going to play football again. He has said this multiple times. He did not think he was going to play again. He goes to the Miami Dolphins very temporarily. Nick Saban was going to pick him up when he was down there in Miami. Doctors from Miami said, nope, we're not going to take a chance on that. And New Orleans Saints say, we'll take you. We're winning nothing, so we got nothing to lose. So Sean Payton, Drew Brees, that was some sweet music down there in New Orleans, as they like to do. They're known for their music. They brought a Super Bowl home to that great city of New Orleans, and Drew Brees retiring after, I believe, 2020 season, and one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So that was my little intro to say this Hall of Fame class was well worth it, well deserving. All 5 candidates. This was a great class.
Drew Brees, first ballot Hall of Famer. One of 2 quarterbacks to have over 80,000 yards passing, him and Tom Brady. Drew Brees is number 2 all time in touchdowns. Drew Brees revolutionized the quarterback position when he left the Chargers and came over to New Orleans. Him and Sean Payton were a match made in heaven. Drew Brees is the reason why Nick Saban went back to college, because Nick Saban was the Dolphins head coach at the time, and he failed a physical. He got on the plane and went from Miami to New Orleans, and the rest is history. Drew Brees winning the first ballot Hall of Famer is a no-brainer, which brings us to the second first ballot Hall of Famer of this class, Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald is second all-time in catches. He is second all-time in receiving yards, behind A1 Jerry Rice. For people who don't understand how great of a player Larry Fitzgerald was, just go back to his time at Pitt. He doesn't drop anything. He doesn't drop anything. He had the era, him and Kurt Warner and Anquan Bolden, those guys had the Arizona Cardinals actually being contenders. They went to a Super Bowl and lost in dramatic fashion to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Antonio Holmes catch that toe tap on in the right corner of the end zone to win the game. But Larry Fitzgerald, shout out to my draft mate. Shout out to the draft class of 04. I think he's the first. No, he's the second player in 04 draft to be in the Hall of Fame. Defensive end, his name is escaping right now, to Kansas City. He was number 1, the one that used to do the. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
I think he played for Carolina as well. His name will come to me. But shout out to Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald was a ball boy for the Minnesota Vikings. He used to see Chris Carter and Randy Moss, and Coach Green and all those guys. When he goes into the Hall of Fame, Randy Moss welcomed him to the Hall of Fame. You can't make that type of stuff up. Which leads me to a second ballot Hall of Famer, which is really number 1 for real, and that's Luke Kuechly. Look, Luke Kuechly came out the womb and tackled the doctor that said it's a boy. Like, after he got up, boom. Like, Luke Kuechly is the greatest college football linebacker ever. What Luke Kuechly was able to do in his short stint with the Carolina Panthers, greatest linebacker. Let's love Sam Mills. Love Sam Mills. And Sam Mills always, they need to have another statue. They need to put one right beside Sam Mills, and that should be one Luke Kuechly. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year.
Only player to do that, by the way. Two players won Defensive Rookie of the Year, and then in the second year, won Defensive Player of the Year. That other player, besides Luke Kuechly, was Lawrence Taylor.
Wow. And like I said, some great linebackers that came through the National Football League. Luke Kuechly, he's up there with them. And he got inducted into big Julius Peppers. He was like, whoa. I mean, he what can you say about the guy? Defensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, 5'6" time first team All Pro. A mild mannered away from the field, a killer once he step out there. On that field, just a different monster. Congratulations, Luke Kuechly. Adam Vinatieri, the gold standard of kickers. I mean, there is no dynasty with the New England Patriots without Adam Vinatieri. Because when they was winning those first Super Bowls, it was him, them last-second field goals. Then it was able to go over there with the Colts and continue his incredible career over there with the Colts, which, people was thinking, man, hey, look, I play for the Patriots. They don't want me anymore. I'm going to come on here with a contender, keep on kicking. But Adam Vinatieri, congratulations. Which leads me to number 5. Roger Craig. You go back to those Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, San Francisco 49ers teams. And Roger Craig is why you have a Marshall Faulk, why you have a LaShawn McCoy. He's why you got a Christian McCaffrey. There isn't a player that the current players can't look to in the past and say, has this been done before? Yes. You know how rare 1,000 yards rushing 1,000-yard receivers is? And he did it way back. In the 80s. Roger Craig was the straw that he was the engine, that made that offense go. Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, Steve Young, and those guys, they gonna get all the headlines. Roger Craig is the guy that made it go. You talking about that arrow route, that choice route against those linebackers. I'm so happy for Roger Craig. Roger Craig is 65 years old. Roger Craig had probably given up on going to the Hall of Fame. But I'm happy that they did the right thing by this man, because Super Bowls is a team distinction, right? That's a team distinction. Hall of Fame is what you did individually. What did I mean to my position, to my team, to the league? You got to check off all 3 boxes. But congratulations to everybody involved. Luke Kuechly, boy, every offensive player in the NFC South is saying, whoo, this dude. Now, if you let Thomas Davis introduce you for the Hall of Fame speech next year, man, that would be just the topping on the cake. I'm not telling you what to do, Luke. You know what to do. Hey, you're a grown man, But congratulations to Luke. Congratulations to Larry Fitzgerald. Congratulations to Adam Vinatieri. Congratulations, to Roger. Congratulations to Drew Brees. I think this Hall of Fame class was incredible, and I know that Bill. We want to make about who didn't get in with Bill Belichick. Robert Kraft. Look, if you don't like the way the voting goes, take the voting rights or taking the voting power away from the people and put it back. Why don't we let Hall of Famers vote for Hall of Famers? Because some of these beat writers, if you didn't see, go look at Rodney Harrison confronting his freaking colleague Tony Dungy on live, saying, "Dude, I think you got it wrong." Like, y'all are letting everything. Y'all are letting optics, opinions, envy, jealousy get in the way of doing the right thing. Because if Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, no coach is. There isn't going to be another coach should go in first ballot, right? And, I'm going to leave it at that because I just think that it was crazy. It was a lot of controversy around that. But congratulations to all the Hall of Fame inductees. Well-deserved. And Smitty, if you're looking at 2026 moving forward, that finalists list is going to be rough to pick one. But Luke Kuechly, man, I'm just happy that you got in, sir. The fact that you made it to the second ballot is beyond ridiculous to me. And Roger Craig, congratulations, sir. Now you are finally a part of football heaven.
As we close out here on winning the division, we're going to go through some headlines and we're going to play a little game. to end our time here on episode number 89. All right, Ben, we'll go through the headlines pretty quickly. But before we do that, a really quick game. It's very simple. It's very easy to do one. So I'm going to make it harder for us. And so I'm going to say two. We've got plenty of time to break down off-season preview for next year. We'll go through all 32 teams. We'll do that on future episodes. But for now, just an early exercise. We're going to pick two teams from each conference that will not be back in the playoffs next year and insert two teams that we think could get there next year very quickly. Each
conference or each division?
No, each conference. Okay. So, like, the 7 teams that made it, you're going to take 2 out and put 2 in for both conferences.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to say the Steelers and the Chargers are going to be my 2 out for the AFC. I will put in the Bengals and the Ravens. So I would say 2 from the North. So I'm going to say Steelers and Chargers out, Bengals, Ravens in.
I would definitely say Chargers out. I'm going to say Chargers out, and I'm going to say New England out in the AFC. I think they're going to struggle in 2026, and I will insert the Ravens. And I would insert the Ravens, and I would insert the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins.
A bold prediction by Mr. Troupe. We'll see if that comes to fruition next year. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that. All right. In the NFC side, this one I think is a little harder, man. Much harder. For this exercise, I'm going to say my Panthers out. I don't want this to happen, but for the exercise, I will say my Panthers out and the Bucs in. And my other one is going to be the Eagles out. And give me the New York Football Giants.
Ooh, okay. In the NFC, I will say the. Oh man, and it's gonna be crazy. I think I'm gonna say, because you're not gonna get 3 every year. I'm gonna say the Rams out, because I don't think you'll get 3 in again.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Chicago out.
Okay.
I'm going to insert in the NFC. I'm just thinking. I'm going to insert the Bucs. I think they'll be back. And in the NFC, the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are in.
My third team would have been the Lions if I was going to remove a third team. It'd be put the Lions in. And maybe take out the Packers or the Rams. That would have been my third one. But Lions, I think, are definitely going to be approved.
That's right. The Lions didn't get in. Man, that's crazy. And I if I get a mulligan, I like the Lions. And if I get a mulligan for the AFC, I will put the Colts maybe over the Dolphins.
Oh, I like that one. Yep. All right. Top headlines in the NFL throughout the Super Bowl week and into the offseason we go. Ben, I'm going to go through these. Let's talk about the biggest ones here. Real quick, your team that drafted you, ex-Titans coach Brian Callahan joining the Giants staff under John Harbaugh. And Sam Darnold thanks the Seattle Seahawks for their belief in him, who was now a Super Bowl champion. So we'll start with those two.
I do think Callahan is going to be a great addition. I think he's built to be the coach positions on one side of the ball. I think being a head coach is too early for him. And like I said, Sam Darnold, class personified. I mean, a man of faith, humility, thanking his parents. He's really big on the people that believe in him, both his parents and his organization. And he proved Mike McDonald right, and they're trying to go for that repeat.
New York's not New York. I'm sorry. Pittsburgh Steelers. Joey Porter Sr., former linebacker, said Ben Roethlisberger was not a good teammate, not a good person. Talked about James Harrison and Roethlisberger breaking the brotherhood, talking about Mike Tomlin on their own podcast. Quote, because if we talk Steeler business, his is a all foul. He is not a good teammate. won a Super Bowl with him, but the person not a good teammate. He knows that. Anyone in the Steelers building knows that. But we've protected him because I've only won one Super Bowl, and that was my quarterback. So do I love my quarterback? Yeah. But is he a good person? No. End quote. There's a lot more that he could have said, but
I respect it. I respect Joey Porter for this reason. For one, it started with the James Harrison situation. James Harrison saying that Mike Tomlin is not a Hall of Fame coach. So Joey Porter steps in and said, "Dude, you got cut 3 times by Bill Cowher. You got cut 3 times by Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin brought you in. That's when you became Debo. That's when you became defensive player of the year, getting that $50 million contract extension." And he was saying, "Come on, man, how you gonna say the guy that gave you, help you develop who you are, you're not a Hall of Fame coach?" The Ben Roethlisberger stuff, you know why I appreciate Joey Porter saying this? Because Joey Porter really knows Ben Roethlisberger. And Ben Roethlisberger got some stuff away from football that people just brush under the rug. And you can't just brush that stuff. Being a Hall of Fame caliber Super Bowl winning football player does not take away the fact that you got some stuff away from football. And Smitty, we all got skeletons in our closet. And if you've ever met Joey Porter Sr., he do a lot of things. Mince words are not one of them. And guess who started this? James Harrison started talking trash about Mike Tomlin, and Ben Roethlisberger started by talking trash. This is going to get ugly, and I am here for all the smoke.
Ex-Jets linebacker, I apologize. Ex-Jets linebacker Darren Lee jailed without bond on a murder charge as he faces first-degree murder in a sad situation, death of his girlfriend in Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm praying for this young lady's. I'm praying for this young lady's family. And I have to do a better job. And when I hear these type of situations, not to jump to the defense of these current athletes, because I think it shows the level of insensitivity coming from me. I do not know the whole situation, but I am praying for this young lady's family. I'm praying for Darren Lee. You never ever want to hear these type of headlines. And people that don't understand. Darren Lee, and I know we're gonna get to some other stuff here in a second. These young men are people first. Let the professional athlete go by for a second. The same thing people go through with human interaction and love and emotions and jealousy and envy. That stuff, you are not above that stuff just because you got a professional athlete next to your name. Praying for Darren Lee, but I'm praying for I'm praying for this young lady who is a victim, because you can't bring back a life. And I can only imagine what her family's going through right now. My condolences to her family.
All right. Excuse me. Last two I'm going to combine here. Obviously, one I'm assuming you're going to talk a lot more than the other. Super Bowl 60 halftime ratings show falls short of the ratings record. Bad Bunny. And there was a shout out to Kid Rock in the TP USA alternate halftime show that I know some people enjoyed too. ESPN announced they're going to be making the Super Bowl a year-round experience. They'll be hosting in SoFi Stadium for 2027. Then they'll be falling on Valentine's Day next year. And then the other one involves Atlanta Falcons defensive end James Pierce, rookie from the Atlanta Falcons, went to Tennessee from my hometown, Charlotte, North Carolina, Vance High School, now called Chambers High School. That's actually, ironically, where Captain Motherland, we had him on the show, coaches football now at Chambers High School, but called Vance High School when James Pierce attended there. His ex-girlfriend, WNBA player, will be testifying against him in this domestic violence case. And Falcons just to say that they are disappointed about this James Pierce Jr. arrest. Essentially, he's facing 5 felony charges in Florida in relation to the domestic dispute with ex-girlfriend and WNBA star player Rickea Jackson, there we go, including aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and aggravated stalking. He allegedly also rammed his SUV into her car multiple times and was arrested after that chase, in which he hit a police officer in the knee with his vehicle. Also charged of aggravated battery with a law enforcement officer. So all of that to say, like you said, probably not as important right now. He had 10.5 sacks for the Falcons last year as a rookie, the most for a first-year player since Micah Parsons in 2021. Falcons had a franchise record of 57 sacks last year. So sad situation all the way around here, also with James Pierce Jr. And then, like I said, the first headline was about ESPN and the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, the Bad Bunny and the halftime show. Hey, the ratings didn't hit. I mean, it was. I heard, like the Kid Rock had his on his side. And Bad Bunny, they probably didn't get the ratings that he want, but he definitely got the viewership. I mean, This dude put on the show. He put on the show, and look, yes, I don't speak Spanish, but I mean, for how listen, South America and Latin America, he put on the show, and congratulations to him. Everything ain't gonna hit. Not meeting the ratings mark doesn't mean that he missed the mark. I guarantee he hit the mark. It's just, I mean, you're going up against some big time halftime show. Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. Snoop, Drake. It's a lot of people. But congratulations to Bad Bunny for definitely not missing the mark when you talk about what he was trying to do. The James Pierce situation is a sad for a lot of reasons. Number one, I'm gonna keep saying this. Myself, Smitty, and people that do what we do in this content creation, podcasting, radio, analysts, columnists, journalistic environment, stop going to the aid of these athletes saying, what is he going to lose? What is he going to lose? That's a person on the other side. And I am not saying that he is guilty of anything yet. We got to wait on, but you're talking about, trying to open up her car door at a light, hitting her car, hitting a police officer, running from a police officer, stalking her. She's a WNBA player and she's a woman. She's a person. We need to stop thinking that the boogeyman is out to get these athletes. Let's just cut that out. Ain't nobody say, oh, hey, somebody out to get you. No, once again, just like with the Darren Lee, real life trumps sports. They obviously was in a relationship. It came to an end. He didn't like that. And things transpired. I know she's saying she's going to testify because you know what's crazy? You don't got as many people speaking on her behalf the way everybody want to speak on Pierce's behalf. Everybody want to come out and say, oh, he's going to lose his career. Football is temporary. Who cares? So he may never get a chance to play football again. Okay, what about his mental? What about his mind? What about the rest of his life? What about his future life? Football will move on. Is either you going to move on from it, because it's definitely going to move on from you. So before we start thinking that Super Bowls and Pro Bowls and all pros and all this stuff, no. He wanted her. She didn't want him. It's going to happen. People break up and get back together and get together every day. It just don't end up like this. I am praying for this young lady because the WNBA doesn't need anything negative over, coming to them, negative headlines. So I'm praying for her. I'm also praying for change. I'm not coming at the young man. I don't care about, how many sex he had last year. Who cares? Like, man, he was. No. The NFL needs to make sure that they're doing medical evaluations, concussion evaluations before these things happen. The same way you got a nutritionist and a strength coach and a position coach and a head coach and a special team coach, what about therapists? Make it mandatory so they can sit down and talk to people. Because you see how much stuff come out, Smitty, after he get in trouble about his previous interaction with people? Hey, I'm not saying I'm judging him. I'm saying it is bigger than football. He played for my Falcons. I don't care. I care about what happens to her and what happened to her. I care about what happens to him and what he did and us getting down to the bottom of it. Because I think sometimes we're so quick to say, man, she's trying to ruin his career. So let me get this straight. Him ramming her car and she's trying to ruin his career.
And character matters. And I think a lot of people this is why, we're going to close because we are over here. This is why character does matter. And these evaluations at places like the Combine in a few weeks' time are taken so seriously by these teams because there were teams last year regarding James Pierce Jr. who specifically said he's not on our draft board. He's not on it. And this was a guy who was a first-round talent who fell to the 26th overall pick. It could have been drafted in the top 10 with his talent. And think about that. He was not on the board, the entire draft board for some teams.
Yep.
That speaks volumes. Character matters.
And hopefully character matters remains a mainstay. We get it. We're trying to get the best players in the world coming out of college to represent our organizations. But we have to understand Floyd Reese, may he rest in peace, was the general manager that drafted me in 2004. I was blessed enough to be able to have great conversation with Floyd Reese when I was a player upstairs. We used to just talk about life and not just football. Before he passed, the 2019 NFL draft held in Tennessee, the city that drafted me. I got a chance to talk to Floyd one-on-one because he was working for the media. And I asked him, I said, why did you draft me, Floyd? I wanted a quarterback. I wanted a big-time cornerback defense. And then he said, because Ben, we didn't have to worry about the phone ringing at 3 o'clock in the morning and they telling us something you've done. We could trust you when we couldn't see you. When you left the facility, we could trust you just as much as when you was here. And so when people be saying, you mean to tell me guys can get drafted because of character? Yes, and they should. Because that stuff is gonna bode well. So like I said, we are not piling on James Pierce Jr. He is a cautionary tale that happens in life. He just happens to have NFL next to his name and his title. James, we're praying for you. Young lady, we are praying for you. Darren Lee, we're praying for you, as well as we're praying for his ex-girlfriend, because we're talking about people first, what they do second. And we just heard about it through Sports Center and NFL because that's what they do for a living. But let's do a better job of protecting victims before we start victim shaming.
And that's a good place to end it here on episode 89 of Winning the Division. We'll be back with another episode soon. Remember, you were either winning your division or you were just in your division. For Ben Troupe, I'm Ryan Smith saying so long. Episode 89 here on Winning the Division. See you next time.